What is up, YouTube? It's Rules for Rebels here, and in today's video we have a special treat for you. I'm doing an interview with Fiverr's top t-shirt designer. So what we're going to be talking about today is starting a t-shirt business, whether that means selling on Amazon Merch, Teespring, T-Chip, Cafe Press, Zazzle, whatever your chosen site where you like selling t-shirts is. Today we're going to be talking about t-shirts, starting a t-shirt business, on-demand t-shirt printing, and we actually have an interview with Fiverr's top t-shirt designer. His name is Beldisegno. He's from Italy, a fantastic designer. I've used a number of designers on Fiverr, and by far he's my favorite one. He can do t-shirts for, Teespring and T-Chip and others, but this gig is specifically designed to Amazon Merch. If you want your t-shirt designed for another platform, just let him know. Some different t-shirt platforms have different specifications in terms of the size or image quality of the t-shirts. So just let him know what you want to do, and he can make it fit your T-Chip or Merch by Amazon or whatever else it is. We can look at a few of his designs here. And in a second, I'm going to be showing you the interview we did with him. I'll kind of flip through some more of these designs here for you. So as you can see, he does some more simple kind of text designs, and he also does, some more complicated designs as well. For a while, he was featuring some of my t-shirts on his store. I don't know if they're still on there or not. But fantastic guy to work with. And one thing in the interview, it's actually a written interview. I basically sent him a list of questions and asked him to respond to them. And he's from Italy. English isn't his first language. So me and him had talked, and we thought it might be better to do a written interview where he can have a few more minutes to kind of choose his words and things like that. One thing I will tell you is a lot of times, in the past I've talked about when you hire a Fiverr designer or a Fiverr person for anything, make sure, that they speak English so that you can communicate with them. And I will say that I've never, ever had any problems at all communicating with this gentleman. English isn't his first language, but, through writing back and forth to each other. To be quite honest, I never even really knew that English wasn't his first language. So I would, don't expect that you're going to have any problems communicating. This guy's fantastic. Every design I've ever given him, he's done a fantastic job on, and we've never really hit any communication roadblocks or anything like that. So fantastic guy to work with, a great eye for design, and I'll show you real quickly a few of the designs he's done for me. Here's a Love Wins one. We did kind of following the Orlando thing. Let's see, what else do we got here? We have another Love Wins one. It's this one in white instead of black, as you can see there. Let's see, I'll show you guys a couple more of his designs. He's done pretty much all these designs here, I believe. This one's kind of neat. All I Do Is Win. With money in the background. I thought that was kind of a neat one. Let's see, what else do we have? I just recently got a bunch of these shirts up here. I haven't really had time to start promoting them. I have run some Teespring campaigns. That's a yoga shirt, Get Twisted. Thought this was kind of a neat one. Great Things Never Came from Comfort Zones, Rules for Rebels branded t-shirt. And let's see, one of my favorite ones, I thought this yoga one was kind of neat, yoga. And keep in mind, all these were kind of my inspiration or my idea, but I always kind of give him the creative freedom to kind of throw his own spin on it. So some of us just got that shit you can't teach, Rules for Rebels. And I'll show you one more design, and then we'll move on to the interview here. So I thought this is one of my favorite ones as well. Kind of looks like the Elements chart, Kush 420 Bud Company. So if you guys think any of these t-shirts are cool, if you want to order any of them, they're all available on Amazon.com. But let's get into the interview here. So here's some questions that I asked him. How did you get started with graphic design, and how did you learn? And he said, I studied communication design in my bachelor's degree, so I learned almost all of Adobe Suite, including Photoshop and Illustrator at a professional level. So then we asked him the next question. What programs are used to design t-shirts? Which is your favorite and why? And he says Adobe Illustrator for creating the design, as it's a vector-based program. It has highest quality and no resizing will affect the quality of the design. Adobe Photoshop for creating the mock-up. I don't recommend Photoshop, especially for those who do not have any graphical software background. So as much as I would love to learn Photoshop, it's really overwhelming. If you don't have any experience with Photoshop and you're wanting to get some designs out on the market quickly, there's going to be a huge learning curve of like hours, weeks, months, etc. learning Photoshop. So I'd recommend starting off just hiring designers. And one thing I will mention as well is I'm going to include a link in the description box below where you guys can get a free Fiverr gig. So if you guys want to hire Beldisegno for a design, you can get it done completely free. Try them out. And again, I'll put the link to where you can get a free gig in the description box below. Moving on, what advice would you give someone looking to start a custom t-shirt business? What types of designs should people try to come up with? Is it better to start a brand or to make funny shirts or to go after a specific niche such as athletes, engineers? And he says, from my orders and my own experience, less complex designs are the best sellers mostly. And, and this is kind of interesting. I actually thought that the more complex designs would be more sought after, but he seems to say that that's not really the case, that, simple, either plain text or simple logo designs are going to be the best way to go. He says the message on the tee is one of the most important keys, but not as important as good advertisement of the tee. I believe funny shirts are the most wanted. I definitely agree with that. Having a brand is always good, but in long term, when your brand gets famous after going after a niche, he doesn't really have a specific opinion on niches, but he makes a good point. Advertising a t-shirt is incredibly important. If you're doing Amazon merch where your t-shirts are available on Amazon.com, I think that gives you a leg up. Reason being, people are actually shopping on Amazon. Amazon is actually going to be sending you organic traffic. Whereas with Teespring, Teechip, Cafe Press, Zazzle, people aren't exactly browsing those sites looking for things to buy. So I showed you guys my yoga shirt. If somebody's on Amazon searching for yoga stuff, there's a chance that my t-shirt's going to come up, and that, if they like it, they might buy it. However, if you're selling on Teespring, Teechip, Cafe Press, Zazzle, nobody really goes to those sites like, hey, I'm going to buy a t-shirt today. Let's go browse Cafe Press. You pretty much have to advertise and drive somebody to your listing to actually sell it. So I think that's why he's saying advertising is so important. And it's, in terms of having a brand, creating a clothing line, etc., is a really cool idea, but realize that it's more of a long-term strategy. So what I mean by that is, for example, let's say I could put out a t-shirt about Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, and right now, there's kind of election fever. People want to either support their candidate or talk bad about the other candidate. So coming up with some funny, political type t-shirts right now would be a quick way to get an easy sale under your belt. On the flip side, if you wanted to come up with your own brand, like, JennyShirts.com or something, if you want to come up with your own brand of t-shirt, that's fine, but realize it's going to take a while to build up that brand, get some name recognition. Why are people going to buy a brand if they don't know what it is, unless the shirt looks cool or something like that? So having a brand is a good idea, and it can work out, but you somewhat already need somewhat of a following. So, for example, I have a pretty large social media following. I have a pretty large YouTube following. So it might make sense for me to kind of come out with my own, rules for rebels, merch, swag, t-shirts, whatever you want to call it. But, somebody who's just starting out and doesn't have a blog, doesn't have any following online, realize that a brand is going to be kind of a longer term goal, so to speak. And he didn't really comment on niches, but obviously I've talked about how important niches are in the past. And I think this is one of the best questions we have, because it kind of shows you how to communicate with your designers. So how can customers of yours make the design process as smooth as possible for you? Should they describe accurately what they are looking for? Should they create a mock-up, whether it be a drawing on a piece of paper or rendering a simple example on Canva so you have something to work off of? And he says, this is my favorite question, and thank you for asking that. And it makes sense. These designers, some people come to them with basically no framework of what they want, and then the designer does the work, and then the people are like, oh, I don't like that. Do another one. And then the designer goes back and does another one, and they come back, and the guy still doesn't like it again. So, you pretty much either need to have somewhat of a mock-up of what you want and communicate that clearly to the designer, or just leave total creativity up to the designer and kind of let them take it from there. The key to be satisfied from the designer is to have a clear idea of exactly what you are looking for. And that's kind of what I just described. If there is something where I don't really know what direction I want to go, sometimes I will tell the designer, here's the message I want. You pick the font, you do whatever, make it kind of fun. I trust your creative freedom. In other cases, I'll actually use a program called Canva, which I've showed you guys in past videos. So I'm not going to open it up right now, but feel free to search my channel, and I have several other videos. But for a lot of my designs, I'll kind of mock something up in Canva. It won't look perfect, but it will at least give the designer an idea of the layout I want, the images I want, etc., and then they can kind of run with it from there. So he goes on to say, there are so many clients that come and send me a text and say to do something, but this is less likely to end with a good result, as I may have a different idea of a good design from what they have. But at the same time, it's good to have a certain level of trust to the designer, as we are doing this for a long time, and me personally, more than 14 hours a day. I know this is crazy, but I do. So basically, what he's saying is he's a professional designer. He has an eye for design. He does this full time. He works with a lot of other people who are successfully selling t-shirts. So, not to say that you shouldn't trust your own designs, come with a framework. But if he says, oh, this font will look better, or this color will look better, or no, we don't want to do it this way, I would recommend taking the designer's word for it. It's think about if you went to a doctor and they were like, oh, I think you should stop eating salt. And you were like, well, no, I'm going to keep eating salt, but I guess maybe I'll drink more water. Either listen to the professional or don't listen to the professional. But the professional is more likely to know what they're doing. This guy does designs full time. Put some trust in him, and trust that what he does is going to be more appealing to people maybe than what you have in your head. Next, he says a very rough sketch is always the best solution, and I can say 99% of the people who has described their idea with sketches were totally satisfied with the result, and the design process was very fast and less revisions needed. So you guys can use Canva. Canva is really easy. It's like a drag and drop software. If you want to plug the picture in, drag it on the screen to where you want it. You can make text, you can change layouts. So that's one way of kind of providing a designer with a rough framework. If you prefer to sketch something out on a piece of paper, that's perfectly fine as well. Draw something out on a piece of paper and either scan it into the computer or take a picture with your smartphone and provide that to the designer. But what you don't want to do is give the designer creative freedom, not give them any framework, and then when they come to you with the design, hate everything that they do. Either provide some insight on what you want, or be okay with what they give you, basically. Next, he says something that most clients does not consider is that sometimes their idea is not a good one, and they think we did their idea in a bad way, but the reality is the idea itself did not work for a shirt. Example, someone asked me to put 2 paragraphs of Bible on a shirt in a way that will be readable from far, eye-catching, modern, etc. It's almost impossible, and that's very true. Think about it. You're trying to fit 2 entire paragraphs from the Bible on the front of a shirt. You can only fit so much text in and have it be a readable size. So, basically he was given an impossible task. So, make sure what you're asking for is something that can actually be done. Next, he says providing some samples always works. For example, someone wants an apple to be placed upon some books. They can find the apple that they like on the internet and the book style as well. So that's another thing that I do. Let's kind of use his example for an apple in books, right? So we might go, let's say I want to design where there's an apple in books. So book clip art. It doesn't have to be clip art. You could look for real books, but typically for t-shirt, so I might say, okay, I really like this book. So I may, save the image, and, so we'll save that as book. Then we might say apple clip art. And then I'll say, okay, I like this apple, so I'm going to save this one. Now, if I want to, I could go to Canva and actually drag the book onto the canvas and then drag the apple kind of where I want it on top of it. But at the very least, providing him a picture of the apple in a book and saying, hey, here's the book I like, here's the apple I like. And he already kind of has a framework for what it is you're looking for. So provide examples whenever possible. If there's an example of a t-shirt you like, try to provide that. Let's see, talked about that. So you don't have to combine them for him, but if you do combine them, you're kind of making a designer's job easier because he knows exactly where you want the apple placed on a book, etc. In your experience, what is the best platform for selling t-shirts? T-Chip, Amazon Merch, Teespring, Cafe Press, Zazzle, etc. And he says Amazon Merch first, Zazzle second, Teespring third, and Redbubble fourth. And he says he's never heard of Cafe Press or T-Chip. Those may not be available in Italy, which may be why that is. I'm not surprised Amazon Merch is number 1. I am somewhat surprised Zazzle is number 2. I used to use Zazzle years ago, and it was one of the first kind of print-on-demand companies out there. And I wasn't crazy about it back then. To be perfectly honest, I haven't gone back there and checked that site in a long, long time. So I'll have to check that out. Teespring doesn't surprise me. I would kind of expect Teespring to be, number 2 or 3. And personally, I'm not familiar with Redbubble, so I'll have to check that one out as well. But if any of you guys are looking to join some sites where you can sell your t-shirts or get t-shirts printed on demand, check these sites out. What would be your best piece of advice for someone who's wanting to start a t-shirt business? The key to be successful in this business is promoting their t-shirt well and having a good design. Almost 75% of my orders are text rather than having graphics on tee, so this can tell us that people tend to buy shirts that have some messages. And also the t-shirts that are dedicated to a certain group likely dads or moms or sons or people who were born in the 1990s. This can tell us how to think about an idea and give some special identity to a person who wears that t-shirt. So I thought this comment was kind of interesting because I talked about niches above. I asked him, is it a good idea to go after niches? And I think maybe maybe that one got lost in translation a little bit. But essentially, what he's saying right here is go after niches. So make a T-shirt about moms, make a T-shirt about dads, make a T-shirt about engineers or scientists or people who like baseball. By focusing on a niche, you already kind of have a built-in audience. So here's kind of where he touches on the niches, and he says, lastly, let me know if there's anything you'd like me to. That was. I told him I'd be happy to give him a plug if if he helped me out and kind of did this interview and offered some advice on design. So he wanted me to plug his Fiverr store, which is fiverr.com/Beldisegno. I will link to his Fiverr profile in the description box below this video. And also, like I mentioned earlier, if you guys have been wanting to design a t-shirt but you haven't taken a jump, you don't have $5, whatever it is, I'm also going to put a link just above his link in the description box below. If you use the link I provide you with to sign up for Fiverr, you will actually get a free gig. Now, if you want to use your free gig to buy one of his t-shirt designs and get your first t-shirt designed and up on Cafe Press or Zazzle or Etsy or Amazon Merch or whatever else, you can get your first design done completely free. Just use the link in the description box below. But hopefully this video has been kind of helpful to you guys. I know I've had a lot of interest from you guys in wanting to start t-shirt businesses and things like that. And like I said, I've used probably over a dozen designers on Fiverr. This guy is by far my favorite t-shirt designer. I personally have not used him for banner ads or any other types of projects, but I mean, a designer is a designer. So, if you guys need some YouTube channel art made or some scrolling banners for your Fiverr store, or a logo, or you're looking to get your private label logo made, this guy does work in vector format or vector file. So definitely, if you need other, I can't talk. A lot of you guys have been asking me about where or how to get private label, like basically your own branding's logo made. This guy would be a wonderful guy to do it. So feel free to check him out for that as well. But again, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If so, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to my channel, click that subscribe button just at the bottom left of the video. And if you guys have any questions or comments or anything like that, again, feel free to leave them below. And if you guys actually get a t-shirt designed and get it up for sale online, feel free to drop a comment on my channel or shoot me a link or whatever. And I'd be more than happy to kind of show people the t-shirt design that you had made and his work and kind of what this video is kind of culminated in. So thanks again for watching, guys, and we will catch you on the next video.